All right, welcome back to the Sunday Sit-Down. I've got Graham Ginder here, one of our engineers, and this is, I'm not going to do the episode numbers anymore because we're up past 10, and I'm to the point now where I actually have a few that I've got ready to go, so I'm not scrambling on Sunday. So no episode number, but good to have you on, Graham.
Nice to be here.
Appreciate
Thanks for
you
having me.
joining us. So other than being like the world's biggest Penn State fan, you're also, one of our great engineers. So give us a little bit of an insight into how you got to PSA.
Yeah, so it was a little bit of a meandering road to PSA, I guess. I have a good background in a couple different areas, but it all kind of centered around, I would say, design. That's always been my engineering focus. I loved the design side of engineering. You can go a bunch of different ways when you get into mechanical engineering, and design was always something that stuck out to me. So biggest thing was machine design and then also product design. Those are the two things that I kind of gravitated towards, and both my internships and my jobs up to PSA have kind of surrounded that. So I've had a bunch of different experiences, both in designing machinery that we would kind of put into our systems, designing products that we would use to build our systems. And now I'm designing the systems and project managing the systems, himself.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I mean, even before then, we talked a little bit off camera here about how you started, you were doing power tools as well. So was it always, I guess, how'd you get into the design piece? Was it something you sort of realized in college, like, okay, I'm a mechanical engineering student and, I'm really starting to like the design piece versus, the other parts of it?
Yeah, it was in college I realized that I wanted to go into some sort of design. That was the side I liked, working with CAD softwares, doing the actual nuts and bolts design, not so much the other side of it. So that was definitely, I decided that in college. My courses were all tailored towards that of, taking a product dissection course and a vehicle dynamics course that were, just different things that could all lend themselves to what goes into designing a system or a product.
Yeah.
So I kind of decided that early on. And then I was lucky enough in my first internship to get really a machine design type internship where I was doing some design for my manager, got some hands-on experience as well. I was in a big steel mill where the equipment, was quite big and the design tasks were pretty technical as well. So that kind of set me up. And then I was also lucky enough with my second internship to be able to work in the automotive industry and work on the design side there as well, and some seat structures. So
nice.
I had a vast array of experiences, all that kind of reinforced the fact that, yeah, I want to do that for a living.
Yeah. And one of the cool things about what we do, and I guess to put into perspective, my role, obviously I'm not an engineer, right? Usually I'm the guy who's like, hey, can you open this CAD and send me a screenshot of what it actually looks like there? But no, one of the cool things I like is I realize when we're doing this is there are so many companies out there that manufacture like one small part that goes into an airplane or goes into a car or goes into another packaging line. Is that sort of what piqued your interest too, as being a part of, I mean, gosh, for a car, you're thinking, I mean, you're spending tons of time just on one component of the seat, out of the, probably a million components that are in a car.
Yeah, that was one of my interview lines that I used of what I love about design and engineering was you're designing this tiny little thing that's a part of this bigger sub-assembly that's a part of this bigger assembly that's going into this massive system. In the example of a car, you're looking at this one single bolt that might be failing. That's a part of the seat structure. That's a part of the seat assembly that goes into the car that you're driving. And that was always something that really intrigued me. And I loved it. Even as a kid, I loved that side of it, of diving deeper into what made something work.
That's awesome. And you've gotten, I mean, even just in my short time here at PSA, I've sort of noticed how we work, right? And you're not sort of an engineer sitting in a room just, designing on CAD all day. You're part of the sales conversations. You're part of the, project planning, deployment, all that good stuff. Is that something that's sort of newer to you in this role? And how do you like it so far?
Yes and no. I've found in my years of engineering that you're never just in charge of one thing. The engineer usually knows the most about the entire thing, which means he has more input into everything else, from the project schedule, the procurement of the parts. The engineer touches every little bit of the project. So it's kind of natural that in my case, I'm getting more into the project management of it and maybe less into the nuts and bolts design of it.
No.
But yeah, to me, it is a natural progression, because you know so much about something, you're able to then manage it a little bit better from a project standpoint.
So has that helped you with sort of I don't know, one of the things that me being a typical sales guy, it's like, oh, I just need a quote, right? Or, or then on the customer side, it's like, oh, we don't need to over engineer anything here. So you being involved in all of that, has that sort of helped you bridge the gap to be like, okay, I understand that we need to get a quote out the door as fast as we can. I understand we can't use not that we don't, I'm just saying the Cadillac of parts in every system that we use, right? So sort of strike that balance between, okay, now I know I can design something and I can procure the parts that, will build a reliable system that the customer will like, and we can do it on a schedule that makes sense. Has that sort of been your?
Yeah, and something I found is there's the simplest quotes often have the most questions involved.
Yeah.
A simple quote of, "Hey, can you get this out to me really quickly?"
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of there's a bunch of follow-up questions that you have to ask to be able to make sure you give something accurate. And I'm not the type of person who wants to just send out something to get it out. I want to make sure it's right, that it's done correctly, and that it actually solves the solution or the problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
Not just sending it out to send it out and get you a number and get you happy.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that. There are often times, right, when I would just love to be like, oh, I just need to know. So we're talking like 850 or we're talking like 1.2, right? And I would love to know yesterday, right? And I know obviously we can't do that, but it's kind of cool that I love that about what we do, because the engineers involved from every aspect, right? And obviously, sales folks are, and most of our, anybody who's doing sales here has engineering experience, except for me. That's why I talk about pizza and golf all the time. But I think what's really important too is exposing the customer to, the people who are actually designing, coming up with the solution. You're walking the floors and things like that.
Well, and the engineers are also involved in the assembly and the troubleshooting and the testing. They're the first line of defense when that happens. If something's not going together right, the first call is going to be to the engineer, and the engineer is going to be trying to put it together if they're not putting it together themselves already.
Yeah.
If something's going wrong, the engineer is going to be out there trying to figure out what is going wrong.
Yeah.
So you don't just design it on the screen and send it out, and that's the end of it. And you don't see it again, you're on to the next one. No, you're actually seeing it through to the very end of when it's installed and that the customer is happy. And if it's not working, the engineer is also the first one to get the call after the fact to say, help me, what's going on?
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. Right. And it's, they could call me, but I would call you. Right. So, yeah, no, I like that. And one of the coolest projects that you've worked on, since you've been here.
The cool thing about PSA is every project is different. Not one project, unless you're talking bed bug ovens, which is one of the few that is the same. Not one project is the same. And that's the cool part is,
there's a quote we can get you in 5 minutes. Yeah, just give me a call. I can shoot it right to you.
Yeah. It's neat because our specialty is everything. We have a breadth of experience across the board with our engineers, our salespeople, our technicians on different backgrounds of experiences throughout the years, who, if you have a question on something, you can call one person. If it's another topic, you can call another. So when I think about the coolest system I've been a part of, it's a lot of them. It's my first project was modifying a machine that puts the top panel on a filing cabinet. One of those obscure things you would never think about is how a filing cabinet gets put together. Okay, I have to learn that, figure out the existing machine, and then modify it. There's been the military side of things where you're talking the processes that you would never dream of you'd have to design. You're thinking through it, but all of them are unique in that they have their own nuances, their own challenges, and the name of the game is kind of getting enough experiences that you hopefully.
It's like, I don't know what's wrong with it. Sorry.
That's okay.
Let's see. There we go. Yeah. Oh.
You hopefully over the years you gain enough experiences that you know at least the first call to make and the first first question to ask or who to turn to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know enough to be dangerous, and then you can kind of go from there.
I like it. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so now we'll go from PSA to PSU. I just really wanted to use that line. I was thinking about that on the flight here. I'm like, oh, I think that'll be a good one to use at Graham. But yeah, let's see if I'll see if that hits as hard as I thought it would. But yeah, so Penn State guy, which gosh, I mean, there are a dime a dozen here, but you're one of the few that actually went there. I guess maybe that's a good first question. Does it drive you nuts that people get so passionate about a school that they didn't go to?
No, I think it's great. I think it's great. It gives you a little more pride to know that I went there. But the more people who can cheer for PSU, the better. That's how we fill the stadium with 110,000 people.
And maybe even more this year, right? There's another section.
I think apparently, I saw, apparently.
So it's just a back and forth between Michigan and Penn State. It's like who can get the bigger house.
Yeah.
Well, talk a little bit about your time at Penn State, whether it be engineering, probably something you could say that, you're okay with somebody watching on YouTube.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously I was going for mechanical engineering. The debate was between a smaller school like Wilkes around here, which was a great program. A lot of guys around here went there. I think I would have been very happy there, or Penn State. And I was a lifelong Penn State football fan. It's kind of a no-brainer that, when I thought about the resources of Penn State to be able to network, to get the experience of one of the best engineering schools in the country, that I had to take that. It was very challenging. I mean, everybody tells you going into it how difficult it is. It was difficult. There's no question, but it also sets you up for success from a lot of different standpoints, from the classes, the networking was really valuable. It's probably a little different now with the branch campuses. They can take advantage of the same resources of a big university. And I think that's, if you're a student coming out of high school, something to look into from the financial side. Yeah. But so it was a gauntlet getting through it and getting into the major and everything like that. I wouldn't sugarcoat it there. Yeah. It was a challenge. But there's no question. I'm happy I got through it. I'm happy I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah. One of the most intimidating things as a freshman is going into the Bryce Jordan Center on the career fair day. And you have these hundreds of companies there, and you're a measly freshman trying to get an internship. And it's very humbling when you don't get one your freshman year, unless you're very lucky. Yeah. But it motivated me to work even harder. Yeah. And, I had to take a bit of a different route with my internships. I ended up taking a co-op, which was 6 months. So I took a spring semester off, did a 6-month co-op from January into August. Set me back a semester, got me an extra football season. Yeah. Which was great.
Was that by design?
It was not by design, but that worked out great. Yeah, it worked out great. It was that was one of the perks.
And what year would that have been?
I started in 2008 and I graduated in 2012. So I graduated the same year, just one, instead of spring, I graduated in the winter.
So that was the Evan Royster, Daryl Clark.
Yep. I got a Rose Bowl championship my freshman year. Yeah. And senior year, I'm trying to think, 2012. Well, yeah, that was when a lot of change happened. So saw a lot of monumental shifts at Penn State football.
Yeah, it wasn't, certainly an interesting time to be there. But yeah, it's kind of funny how as soon as you said, "Oh wait," I'm like, "Oh yeah, the Rose Bowl." Yep. I can't remember what my wife told me to do before I left this morning. But I'm like, "Oh yeah, 2000. Yeah, I remember the Rose Bowl. Yep. It's a big deal, right? Because everybody thought it was going to be a national championship year."
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And was that the Rose Bowl year with USC?
That was against USC.
They got smacked, right?
Yep. Yeah, that was. I think Reggie Bush. Well, I don't know about Reggie Bush, but yeah, they had a good team.
Silas Red? No, he was a Penn State guy.
He was Penn State. He transferred.
Gosh, who was their other?
USC.
He transferred to USC. Yeah. See, this is the hard hitting stuff you learn on the Sunday sit down. It's like, I always see those reels and memes and stuff on social media. It's like guys just sit around and talk about running backs from the early 2000s, and it's easy to do.
I could do that with Penn State for sure. You go back and look at the jerseys. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that guy.
Yeah. It's they had good teams back then.
They did. It's amazing when you look at. Through the years, they had their basement years, but they have been consistently a competitive team. And I'm one of those guys that I'm a fan no matter what. They win or lose. Yeah. So it's just been, and I have season tickets now. I don't get to every game, but
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to taking my kids to their first games pretty
Have
soon.
they gone to their
They
first
have
game
not.
yet?
No,
No?
no, it's a long day. I don't know
It
if they can handle
is.
it yet, but
Yeah.
hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So you got to time it just right when, whether it's nap time, you got to hope they
Yeah.
sleep in the car, right?
Yeah.
Wake them up when they get off the
Which
Belfont
is
exit.
impossible.
Yeah, right. I always think that too. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's only like 3 or 4 hours away. I
Mhm.
could take them, they'll sleep in the car.
Mhm.
And then it never happens that way, right?
Right.
They're up the whole time, and then it's halftime, and it'd be a one-score game, and they'd be like, "When's the game over
Yeah.
yet?"
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Funny enough, in Charlotte, last week, I guess it was now, I took Charlie, my oldest, to a Charlotte FC game. First MLS game. They played Atlanta. It was cool. I'm not a huge soccer fan, but like it was cool to go. And I thought the game started at 7. Game starts at 8:15.
Oh.
So he will be 5 years old in September. So he's a 4-year-old. And we went to a sports bar before the game. So, trying to, show him the good life early on, right? You get some wings before the game, you go to the game, and
Did
then
you
I get
make
there
the
and it's like,
start of it?
oh yeah. Yeah, we made it. Yeah,
Okay.
we got
All
there.
right.
So
All
we
right.
were there in plenty of time. 8:15 rolls around, game starts. Longest soccer game I've ever been a part of. There was 9 minutes of injury time in the first half. And the second half was just as long. Guys were just taking dives. First game back after the World Cup. And my wife called me like 3 or 4 times during, I'm not afraid to admit, I was letting him watch some YouTube because it was a 2-2 match.
Yeah.
So I'm like, here you go. Watch Bluey here. We're going to leave in 5 minutes. It sounds like terrible parenting.
Yeah.
But he actually wasn't paying attention. He was watching the game. So he had my phone, but he was watching the game.
Yeah, that's good.
So I missed the call. And then, of course I was in the doghouse, but we got home around midnight. But yeah, I think there'll be plenty of, that's someone. It was fine. He was up. He's ready to go. And I gave him the pep talk on the way home. We were like trying to stay awake the whole way. So I'm like trying to think like, okay. And he starts naming like all the sports he could think of, which is pretty funny to think of. It was, and he just kept going on. And you could tell he had fun. And I think back to those memories, like growing up here, I would go to a lot of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguin games, and I'd be, the playoff games, especially the overtime was, another 20 minutes. It's like another full period.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, maybe I won't have to go to school tomorrow if the game goes like 2 or 3 overtimes, right? And then it never works out that way.
No.
It's always fun to like stay out past the school night.
It is. Yeah.
All that good stuff. So I think of that. But so what's your favorite Penn State memory? Your favorite Penn State football memory?
There's a lot. Freshman year, my first whiteout. It was against Illinois, and Illinois was ranked at the time. I don't know their ranking, but they were pretty good. Yeah. So it was a good matchup. It was earlier in the season, so it was, I'll say September. It was warm. I am embarrassed to admit here, but I body painted for that game.
Oh, nice.
It was myself and 2 others, and we were PSU. And it was just an amazing experience. I'd never been to a whiteout before. I'd been to a Penn State game, but never a whiteout. The noise, the crowd, the atmosphere, they won that game handily.
Yeah, they crushed them.
Yeah, it was just I just remember the chills I had in that game. It was amazing.
Yeah. And you're like, oh man, this isn't against Wilkes, but it's like, oh man, it's kind of like the Wilkes and Kings game, right? The cross city rivalry.
Similar, yeah.
Whatever they call it. I went to Misericordia. Obviously, they didn't have a football team at the time. They got one my, sophomore year, and at the time I was in broadcasting, so I got to call the first Misericordia football game. We went and played Gettysburg. Gettysburg beat us like 77-0, and they could have beat us probably 500-0. And I remember getting in trouble because I was on the air, and the guy I was doing the game with was like, do we have a play for 1st and 46 or something, like whatever it was. There was a couple holding penalties, and I was like, I'm not sure we've got to play for 1st and 10. And, I remember the text blowing up, and I was like, you can't say that.
It's a good line.
Third quarter or whatever, the first game ever. And I'm like, well, we're terrible, and it's funny. Misericordia's gone on to, they're very successful in athletics, but in the D3 world, they won a national championship in baseball, all that good stuff. But, the football team, it was weird because every other sport was great. And this football team goes out and, they're defeated. So it's kind of funny. And they used to have these shirts that was like undefeated since 1924, but obviously that's not true. So, but yeah, no, it's funny. I think football is great. And we're going to do a formal Penn State preview podcast with me, you, and Brian Wilcox out of the Lawrence. Yeah. So we'll do one with Brian. Penn State's coming up here, so we'll probably do that in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be out there in a few weeks, so we'll, and then I think I'm going to make it out for the opener.
Okay.
So we'll see. To be determined whether or not Charlie's allowed to go. I know for sure Parker's not. He's too young, but
I know. My kids are getting old enough for sports now, so I got to see. I don't even know what games I'm going to yet because I have to figure out their schedules first.
Yeah, that's part of it, right? Mm-hmm. But it's fun, and I'm sure you're playing a lot of golf in the backyard and wiffle ball and all that stuff. So
Yep, they love it. They're getting into it at least, which is good.
awesome.
I'm coaching for the first time this year too.
What are you coaching?
Soccer.
Pittston Stoners?
Yep, Pittston Stoner U6 girls soccer.
U6.
Uh-huh.
I think that's probably
U8. I'm sorry, U8.
Yeah. U8. I think that's when I was done playing soccer because they make you play every position.
It's like 5 on 5, and they introduce a goalie.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun, but I remember like scoring and like really loving it. I was an early bloomer. I was terrible as a later. I was playing soccer like every other kid who grew up here, Pittston Stoners, U8. And you get out there and you score a couple goals, and all of a sudden the coach is like, you got to go play defense. I cried. I quit. I went to play hockey. That was the end of my soccer career, except for gym class. But yeah, that's cool. You'll have to let me know how it goes.
Yeah, we will see.
What's the philosophy here on the coaching philosophy?
Have fun. Yeah, that's all.
So you're not worried about who's playing up top?
I mean, I have my strategy of we'll do a diamond pattern, one person in the front, one in the back, a left and a right, but have fun. Hopefully you want to play soccer again next year.
There you go. I like it. Yeah. Nobody remembers the X's and O's from U8, right?
No.
But they remember whether or not their coach is terrible.
Yeah. So yeah, they might remember that. I don't know. That's we might lose every game and they remember that, or win every game and remember that. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, awesome. Well, thanks, Graham. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure. And we'll talk to you for the PSU podcast.
Sounds good. Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you.